Are we seeing the end of the UFC? There is a huge problem making championship fights happen, and today we're looking at whether Dana White and the UFC's dominance in MMA is coming to an end. And the first question is, where are all the big fights?
Where are they?
Look, when Francis Ngannou beat Cyril Gane at UFC 270, the stage was set for what should have been the most anticipated fight in UFC history, the return of Jon Jones at heavyweight, taking on his biggest challenge yet in Ngannou. Instead, what we got was a soap opera that saw heavyweight champion Ngannou walk away from negotiations with UFC and sign with rival promoter PFL. All the while, Dana was claiming that he released Francis from his contract.
The day that we released him, I knew exactly what was going to happen.
So yeah, Jon Bones Jones did make his return to the UFC, but it was facing Cyril Gane, which, let's be honest, none of us wanted to see. He's a poor man's Ngannou. It was one of the shortest, most underwhelming fights we'd seen. And straight after this victory, he had the belt on his shoulder. He calls out Stipe Miocic.
Y'all want to see me beat up Stipe?
Which, let's be honest, is a sensible challenger, but he's already lost to Ngannou. And now, while Jones and Ngannou cross swords on social media, making us wish we could see them fight, we're supposed to be excited about Jon taking on Stipe.
I don't care!
But we don't even have a date, and it looks like contract negotiations have stalled again. And let's not forget the shit show that is the bantamweight division. You got Aljamain Sterling, who beat Henry Cejudo. We want to see Sugar Sean O'Malley get in the ring. They were there, hyping it up on the night. It was a great PR stunt. Then Dana comes out, and then he announces that the fight between Sterling and O'Malley is going to happen and when it's going to take place. But neither fighters had agreed to it yet.
The fight is on.
Sterling was not happy. He had no idea about the timetable. He expected more time to recover between fights. And what about the mess in the welterweight division, where you've got champion Leon Edwards, who's been told by Dana he has to fight Colby Covington, and he doesn't want to. Having successfully defended his title, Edwards feels there are more deserving opponents than Covington, who's been absent from the roster without injury for over a year. Obviously, there is some backhanded conversations going on that we know nothing about. So why is it so hard for Dana to get these deals signed? Why does he seem to be losing the trust of the fighters that once respected him so much? Well, the plot thickens since Francis Ngannou recently spilled the beans on the pay conditions and his previous contract. Dana accused Ngannou of being a coward and ducking fights, stating others would take on 3 fights a year, but it turns out that Francis was literally begging Dana for fights for nearly 6 months because he was an 8-fight contract and was earning an average $100,000 to $120,000 per fight as a main card event. Which, let's be honest, is peanuts, which is why Ngannou left. Dana has got to sort out this pay. The company's making $1.3 billion, but it's no secret that it has one of the worst payment structures for any US sport. UFC fighters are lucky if they're getting 20% of the revenue, but compare that to MMA competitor Bellator that's giving 44.7% of the revenue to the fighters. So if Dana's going to sort this problem out, first of all, he's got to give fighters more money. It's that simple. And you can tell he's starting to panic a little bit because he's looking at promoting other fights like Tyson Fury versus Jon Jones. Who'd have thought he'd entertain that a few years ago? But let's be honest, that's going to be the biggest fight of his year. Look, as a UFC fan, I hope they sort it out. I hope we get some big fights soon. We'll obviously be bringing you all the news. So do me a favor, hit subscribe. We'll see you next time.